All right, my friends, we are ready to rock and roll. My name is Jeff St Laurent, and this is the live Tuesday call. I had to throw that into my marketing and my events. I'm like, it's not just a Tuesday call; it's a live Tuesday call, and that's a big difference. People like live events, and that's what I want to help you with your coaching business. What I do is I help coaches transition to a full-time business. And we want to get you doing some live events, whether they're virtual like this or face-to-face. But either way, as I help coaches transition to a full-time business, I do these calls each and every Tuesday, so you can count on that. I always record these calls, and I post them on my website under my university. My website is sellingcoaching.com. And if you go there, you can check out my university. I believe we're up to call 49 now, so next week will be our 50th call. So, always celebrating little benchmarks along the way. It's vital as an entrepreneur to celebrate those little small benchmarks, whether they're numbers or whatever they are. So I'm excited about that, but I do have all the calls in my university under sellingcoaching.com. So check that out. Great resource for you. And then also, if you haven't seen it, if you go to my website, at the top of basically every page above the navigation bar, there's a little banner there that says, check out my private Facebook group. So if you're not in there yet, it doesn't mean you have to be, just a recommendation. At least check it out, see if it's of interest to you. I love to have people over there because it's a great place for us to be able to interact. I ask questions, post some things that you're doing. I'm always challenging people to put their blog posts in there, create some videos and put it in there. I want to help you start getting used to exposing yourself, so to speak, and getting your message out there, especially if you're newer and you haven't done this yet or you don't know what your message is. A big part about what we do is, before we could do a call like this or a live event, is just practicing speaking a message and just seeing what comes out and fumbling a little bit and I'll just say sucking a little bit, right? And getting better with each and every single one. And we get a great group over there, which is it's a safer environment, but it's also real, meaning you're going to get some real eyes on it. So definitely go ahead and check that out. I'd love to have you as a part of the group. And then lastly, if you're in a place where oh gosh, I really need some guidance and I really want to do this transition to a full-time coaching thing, I do some one-on-one mentoring. And if that's of interest to you or you're considering that, you can always just go to my website, sellingcoaching.com, go to the Work With Me tab, scroll to the bottom. You can fill out the form there, and then no pressure at all. We can just create a relaxed conversation, kind of get a feel for where you're at. And if something works out, fantastic. So that's what I have for you guys in order to help you move forward. With that being said, today's call, we're going to be talking about a day in the life of a full-time coach. And what I'm basically going to do is I'm just going to kind of run you through my day, each day throughout the week and through the weekend, and just talk about some details, talk about the things that I do in this business. Now, a lot of people aren't full-time and they want to go full-time. Obviously, that's what I'm assisting them with. So you might still have a day job. You might have other things that you're doing as well, whatever that looks like. I might mention a few brief things along the way of, okay, Jeff, I'm not a full-time coach. So what does the day in the life of a part-time wannabe full-time coach look like? So I can address that as we go away. But essentially, it's no different than what I'll be going over. It's just kind of a shrunken down mini version of it. So if I have, let's say, 7 hours in my office, for instance, yours might be shrunken down to an hour, or maybe, half hour in the morning and 90 minutes at night, or finding the times between when you're not a mom or a dad, or you're not, working a job or doing other things as well. But either way, there's a thread, and I'll just start off with this, is to say, there's got to be a routine. We've got to set up a routine. We've got to have structure. You've got to have office hours. So you start off with this. I like to tell people you've got to treat your business like a job. A job meaning if you're supposed to be in at 9 a.m. and you work till 5, if you keep showing up at 10 a.m., that's only going to last so long before you get fired, I'm guessing. So same thing goes with your business. The difference is there's an inherent discipline that we must acquire where there's no one expecting us or waiting for us. So we've got to be able to do that. And just like a job, when you're done at 5 o'clock, do you just stick around till 6 or 7 just because you like the place so much? No, typically if you're at a job and you're done at 5, you get out of there, right? And the same thing would go for your businesses. I want you to have those hours where you've got to be able to put your business down. you've got to stop your business and you've got to go live your life. As much as I love what I do and as much as we love coaching, I love the other components of my life, being with my son and being with friends and just relaxing and watching a TV show or, playing a game or going out playing basketball, working out, things like that. So you've got to be able to have that space where you got to know when to pick it up and you got to know when to put it down. These are the vital components. And even if we're shrinking this down because, hey, I've got a full-time job, heck, some of my mentoring clients got three full-time jobs, but 3 jobs that they're working, to support the bills. Single parents that got, 3 kids. So, their situation is not easy to say the least. With that being said, they've still got to have their office hours. You've still got to have your time. You got to, especially if you're working from home, some of the components I'll share, you've got to be able to set your boundaries. If you live by yourself, it's great. But if you've got other people in the house that are living with you and you're in your quote office, you've got to be in your office and you can't have kids or spouses running in. They need to know that you're as good as gone, meaning you are working your business and you are not to be bothered. You can't be asking questions. If someone's bleeding or a leg's falling off, deal with it. And if need be at that point, maybe consider talking to me. But you've got to set your boundaries with that. And if you don't, it's just going to be a giant distraction. And with that being said, while you set your boundaries with other people, not only are you asking them to honor that, but if you're saying, hey, I'm going into my office, I'm going to be working for the next hour, and it's an agreed upon time, every Wednesday or every week or whatever, every day or whatever it is, not only are you asking them to honor it, but you've got to honor it too. So you can't say, hey, I'm going into my office from 6 to 8 p.m. tonight, and then, at 6:30 you're coming out for a snack, and then, goofing around with the kids a little bit on your way up, or talking to your spouse, or, checking, I don't know. You've got to stay in your office, so those are the things that you've got to honor as well. And oftentimes when we start this process of entrepreneurship, especially, coming from an employee or we're newer, sometimes when we have those office hours, and as I work with my mentoring clients and we set these times up, I help them structure that. Sometimes it's like, okay, well, I got my office hours, but I don't really know what to do in those office hours. So that's why I'm going to get into some of those details as we go through today, especially so you can start to see some of the breakup. So now as we go into this a little bit, here's what I will say. One of the important components, I come from a health and fitness background. I graduated with a degree in exercise science, exercise physiology. I had my own personal training business for almost 20 years. Big person in the fitness industry as I transitioned into coaching. I truly believe that as an entrepreneur, your health and fitness is a vital piece. I'm not going to go into detail with this. However, how can you expect to function really well as an entrepreneur if you're not well physically and emotionally as well? Because emotional and physical fitness, it's a two-way street. What we think about affects how we feel, and how we feel affects what we think. It's the mind-body connection. So that's a huge component to it. So as I start off my week, I'll start you off on a Monday. And as I talk about this, it's not just, oh, this is what Jeff does, but I want you to think about this is what I would have you be doing. And obviously we would design your own structure. Like when I work with you one-on-one, I help you design your structure for your lifestyle and the type of business model you have. Right now, I've created a virtual business model, which means I never leave my house, quite literally, other than to work out or a few times a week. I'm here. I've got my nice home office, but I'm 100% virtual. It means I don't travel. I don't meet anyone in person in terms of my core business. For my first 10 years of my business, I was, maybe half virtual, but then I did a lot of live events, meaning I was speaking, I was traveling. And as I grew into, working with coaches, transitioning to a full-time business, I wanted to be with my son more. I didn't want to travel, and I was sick of flying all the time. So I'm like, hey, I want a virtual business. It's going to be important that you understand, what your business looks like. Due to the internet, social media, things like that, it's so easy and it's so realistic to have a virtual-based business. What's also nice about that is you don't have roots, so to speak, meaning you're location independent, which means you can really do your business from anywhere in the world, other than accommodating for time zone changes. It's a great avenue to go down. So I will start off, when I say I start off on a Monday, the first things I do pretty much every day of the week is, in the morning I'm with my son, so forth and so on. But once I drop him off at school, um, I go to work out every morning. So Monday, Tuesday, I do my CrossFit workout. Wednesday, I do my yoga workout, and this is all at 9 or 9:15. Thursday, Friday, I'll either do CrossFit on both those days, and then if Friday, like lately Friday nights, I've been playing basketball. So if I'm playing basketball at night, I won't do my workout on a Friday morning. I actually sleep in. So that's a fantastic morning. But I'm sharing this with you because I have a discipline of doing my workout at 9:15 every morning. And what that does is I do my workout, I come home, usually 10:15, 10:30, hop in the shower, do my thing, eat some food, and I'm in my office for 11 a.m. So my day starts at 11 a.m. And I want to share with you the reason I have it set up that way. And I'm sharing this about myself, but I want to translate it to you so it's applicable for everyone listening to this, is that I want to help you figure out how you work best. Meaning for me, I don't work best in the mornings. I did the 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. thing for many years as a personal trainer. I have zero part of me wants to do that again. I like sleeping in the morning. And if, like on a Friday morning, if I have nothing to get up for, I'll lie in bed for an extra hour and snooze because that's what I want to do. Even if I got up and I was in my office, I would not be able to produce. My mind's not woken up. So I function better when I get up, I have some good time with my son, goof around a little bit, get him off to school, and I couldn't come into my office and work. I need to get going. I need to move. I need to sweat. I need to get my breath up. I need to wake my mind and my body up. So I function really well like that. So now by the time I get my shower in and I'm ready to go at 11 a.m., might sound like a late start for some people, but I'm ready to go, right? So you might be the opposite. You might be like, oh, geez, I'm a morning person. I shoot right up at the crack of dawn and I'm ready to go. So you might be a person where you might be getting into your office, at 6 a.m. or maybe out of necessity, if whether you're a single parent or you got kids that you need to take care of, maybe you've got to get up at 6 a.m. or 5 a.m. to get an hour and a half in before the whole house wakes up. So you can have undistracted, office time to follow up on emails, social media, things like that. I'll go into some of those details as I get into my workday. But what I'm expressing to everyone here is that it's not just, oh, this is what Jeff does, but it's like we've got to find how you work optimally. And it's got to be on a routine. So I go to the same workout at the same time every single day of the week. It's expected. So that's what I want you to have. So whether it's a workout or whatever it is, that's my morning routine. So typically what I like to do at 11 a.m. when I get into my office is I like to schedule a client at 11 a.m. And the reason I like to do that is because it gets my ass in my office. As disciplined as we all can be, and as disciplined as maybe I could even come across, I'm human too. And there are times, many times, where I'm not feeling disciplined, and I'm not feeling like, oh, I just, or I've got other things to do, or there's something going on in my house, like folding the laundry, or just anything like that, that just cleaning up the kitchen, that I just feel like, oh, I just want to get going. And if I don't have that client, I can tend to lag, and I can tend, I could take a little longer with my shower, I can shave, and you know what I mean? And it's like, if I got an 11 o'clock client, it presses me to get everything done and eaten by 11 a.m. So I'm in my office ready to go, calm and ready for my client. So I prefer, here's my strategy, and I'm sharing this with you, is with my office hours, I like to schedule a client at the beginning of my day, like let's say 11 a.m., and if, like, for instance, on a Monday, I'm in my office till 6 p.m., I like to schedule a client at 5 p.m., ending at 6. So that keeps me in my office. Because there's stuff that goes on as the day goes on. And if I know I've got a client, at the end of the day, or I've got a few at the end of the day, it forces me before then to get the stuff I need to get done. And then I've got, let's say 1 or 2 clients at the end of my day. And then when I'm done, I'm going to get out of the office because I want to be with my family. I want to be with my son. or just hang out and relax. I don't want to be in my office till 8, 10 o'clock. So that forces me to get my work done. So I've figured that out for myself in terms of that's how I work best. I'm sharing those strategies with you because as an entrepreneur, I think a lot of us, I always tell people, like, entrepreneurs are historically ADD, in the sense of whether you're diagnosed ADD like I am or just we are. It's like we always say that shiny object syndrome, we're like the cat that's like following the reflection, and then there's another one and we're over there. So it's so important that we have a routine and we stay focused with that. So on a Monday and every day for that matter, I've got my morning routine, and then I'm in my office at 11. I like to schedule a client if possible at the beginning and the end of my day. And again, for the reasons I just shared, it gets me in there. So what I'll say is I know my office hours each and every day. And because I know my office hours, what that enables me to do is it enables me to know when I can schedule clients and when I can't schedule clients. This is another important factor. When I did a lot of stuff, with realtors in the past in my coaching business. And realtors are known, I like to say, for prostituting their time, meaning it's like, client calls for a showing or whatever. It's just like, yeah, sure, 3 in the morning, sure, let's get into this house and we'll show it to you. But like here, it's like don't just schedule a client whenever they want to be scheduled. You've got to know when you can and when you can't schedule a client. So if someone says, hey, can I meet with you, whatever at 7 o'clock at night? I'd be like, okay, I go to the night that maybe I have a later evening, like on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and I could schedule you then. But if it can't work then, we've got to be able to find another time. And what I've learned after doing this, since 2004, is when you honor your time, people will find a time that works. So a lot of coaches are, if they get their first client and then they're like, oh, especially if you've got a job and you've got a lot of other stuff going on, it's like, well, when do I schedule these people? If you know your office hours, then what you do is just stay true to that. And if something doesn't work, don't prostitute your time and just, go into, time with your kids or with your spouse or relaxing time just because you want to book this client. Just stay true to what your office hours are. People can adjust. People understand that times might not work, but I've never had a client when I was doing personal training to coaching over the course of hundreds and hundreds of clients over the last 20 plus years. I've never had a scheduling issue that we couldn't find a time that works. So people will adjust, and that's an important piece of why those office hours. And when you come to scheduling, work within those hours, stay true to that scheduling. So with that being said, as I schedule my clients through the week, I have the clients that I have week to week, and we know when we are. I make sure we book at the end of every session, so we have that. In terms of other clients, when I say I'm old school, low tech, I'm low tech. I've got a paper calendar. Literally, I've got a day planner that's spread open right on my desk right in front of me. It's got the hours laid out from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. in 15-minute increments, and my whole life's in that calendar because I don't travel. It's right in front of me. If I did, I would take it with me, but I book everything in that, so everything's right in front of me. So for my clients, I have a list of my clients. Like literally, I've got a notepad where you tear off some paper, and I write my active clients. I just write their name on this piece of paper, and I keep it right underneath my computer. And at the beginning or the end of every day, especially the beginning of the week, I just go through the list of my clients and I make sure I have everyone that's on there. I have them. I know what they're doing, meaning they're already in my schedule, whether it's for this week or following week. If they're not in my schedule and I don't have any notes in my calendar or know like, okay, well, we haven't booked our next session yet, or I don't know what our plan is, so to speak, I will connect with that person and get them in the schedule whenever they're ready for it. And then also I will go through that list, and I, especially on Monday mornings, I will go through that list and I will just, anyone that I haven't heard from in a while, some clients as you work with over time, they don't meet with you like on a weekly or even bi-weekly basis. Some of them take more time in between sessions. I meet with some clients every month. So I will go through that list and I will just send people emails that I haven't heard from in a while, or I know our next session isn't maybe for another week or two, and I'll just pop them a quick email. And this is first thing Monday, like this is after my clients, I'll say, hey, how's it going? I know we're going to meet in a few weeks, or I know we're meeting next week. I might even say, hey, we're meeting at the end of the week, just checking on you, seeing what we're doing. If I know the client's good, I know we're in good communication, I wouldn't send them an email, but this is one of the first things that I do. So with my clients, I want to make sure everyone's scheduled, everyone's up to date in terms of scheduling, all right? So now in terms of my office hours, I have my client hours. That means these are the times that I'm working with my clients. Like I said, I try and schedule them at the beginning and end of my day, but other than that, I'll schedule them whenever I need to in my office hours. All right, so those are my client hours. I found that usually 10 to 12 clients a week is an optimal number. And I went through this on a call, and actually I think it was actually I think it was call number 11, ironically. I mentioned this before we started the recording, but call number 11, if you check that out in the university, is setting up a pricing structure for your coaching packages. But I believe, yes, I went over it in that call where I talked about the optimal number of clients and why. So I won't go into great detail here, but I found that that works out good in terms of the amount of people that you can handle, and being present for each client, knowing where the client, each and every client is. And this is for one-on-one, not necessarily a group. But that's a 10 to 12. And also from an income standpoint, if you're charging what I recommend, and at a minimum 125 a session, but typically like that 125 mark, especially towards that $200 mark per session, with 10 to 12 sessions a week, you can at least be at the $50,000, $60,000 range, and then up to that six-figure mark if you're charging $200 a session. And for most people, that would be a great starting point to, basically have what I consider a full-time income, and then have the potential to move beyond as they raise their prices or get into some groups and things like that. So that's what I have in terms of volume. So 10 to 12 clients a week. Sometimes I'll have more, sometimes I'll have maybe a few more depending on the cycle, but that's where I tend to stay. And if I get some new clients along the way, I just have found that based on what I'm doing, that's where I tend to gravitate towards. So when I have the sessions, obviously I'm with the client and go from there. I try and book my clients one after another, as opposed to having a client, having an hour off, having a client, having an hour off. I'd rather be on the phone for 4 hours straight, as opposed to just having going and stopping, going and stopping. It just gets me in a zone. That's what I prefer. And I'd rather have chunks of time where I can do outside work. So now, the clients are the clients. Now let's talk about what do I do in my day for when I don't have clients. So at the beginning of every day, or throughout the day, what I'll do is any blank time, and here's the important piece, right? It's easy when you've got clients, right? But a lot of people starting off is they don't have any clients, so they don't have anything to do. If you have a client, it's easy. You're going to be with a client. So what do we do in the blank space? So whatever your office hours are, whenever I have blank space, I don't want to start my day unless my blank spaces are filled in. Meaning, what I like to do either the day before or that day before I start off is I've got, let's say after this Tuesday call, for instance, I'm going to be in my office till about 3:10 p.m. and then I'm done for the day. That's when my office hours stop on Tuesday, and so I work from 11 to 3, roughly 3 p.m. and then I get my son and I hang out with him for the rest of the night. I'm just a dad and we just have a blast. So after this Tuesday call, I don't have any clients after this. I've got 2 hours or so. So what I do is I've got dashes and I've got things I've got to do before I go and get my son, and I'll go into the details of some of those things. But what I'm giving you now as a strategy is basically you've got to fill in, you've got to basically tell yourself what to do. Because I found if I hang up from a client and I've got a blank hour after this, for instance, and I don't have anything written, then I might check my email, or I might have to go to the bathroom. I might grab some food, and then because I'm ADD, I might go down and grab some food, and the kitchen's a mess, and I might start cleaning the kitchen a little bit, or whatever the case is. That's what can happen, and next thing you know, that quote free office hours, that hour, those 2 hours, that 6 hours just goes by, and you did absolutely nothing. And it's happened to me before, and so that's why I use the strategy of at the beginning of my day, at the end of the day, looking to the next day, is I just write in that blank space what I need to do. And that now when I hang up that phone, I look and see what's next, and I look at those blank spaces, and that immediately pulls me to where I need to go. And whether I end up doing it in that time, or let's say I ended up booking another client and I have stuff, kind of bullet put it in there, I make sure I move that stuff to another free hour, because there are certain things that I need to do on a specific day. And then there are certain things that don't necessarily matter if I do them today, but they need to get done sooner than later. I'll give you some specifics of what I'm referring to. So for instance, and this is what I help people with when I work with them one-on-one in their mentoring, is I help them design their structure in terms of their marketing structure. And this is an important thing, and this drives your daily actions. So I'll talk about the model that I use, and that's my Tuesday call, with which we're all on right now. So all of my marketing essentially evolves around my Tuesday call, that one live event that I have on a weekly basis. And this is a vital component to our coaching business. Is, we've got to get out in front of people and be speaking to them live. It could be face-to-face, it could be virtual, webinars, Facebook Live, podcasts, live events. There's a bunch of different ways of doing things like that, but a live event. So my marketing revolves around that. So outside of having my clients that are scheduled on a Monday, what I've got to do on a Monday before I leave my office, and this is always bullet pointed as my Monday activities that have to get done, is number one, I've got to come up with a call topic for my Tuesday call. I've got to set up an event in my Facebook group, on my Facebook page for this event, and write a little blurb about it. Then I've got to go send an email to my database, not only sharing about the Tuesday call, but then that's where more of the time comes in, and I'd say a good maybe 20 minutes or so crafting that email. Those of you that aren't on my email list, I'm not just saying, hey, get on my email list to get on it. I would say get on it because not only, to know about these calls and things that I do, but more importantly, to start to see how I email. What are my emails like? What am I saying? You want to email your database at least 3 or 4 times a week. A lot of people think that's way too much, but when you understand how it's done and you see it the way I do it, it makes sense. And it's vital because it's one of our ways of communicating with our audience, which is a vital piece of marketing. We've got to be top of mind in front of them, all the time if we can. So the other piece, once I set those events up in my Facebook group and my Facebook page for my Tuesday call, I'll get on my email, I'll craft an email, personal email that's live, meaning I'm writing it now, it's for these people. I share something that's going on in my world. I kind of relate it. I try to tell a story that's funny, that's serious, that's whatever. I relate it to the Tuesday call, and that's my email. So that's my way of marketing around my Tuesday call, inviting people to the call. I will get into the groups that I'm in. So I'm on Facebook. In other words, my social media platform is Facebook. It's based on my demographic. I always tell people when I work with them, it's like one social platform, that's it. There's a million of them out there. Don't be on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and be on one. And that one's determined by who you're going after. So I'm on Facebook, for instance. So I have a handful of Facebook groups that I'm in, and I will get into those groups and I will use the email that I crafted. I did this in order of how I do these actions. The Facebook events, then my email. Then I take the email because I write some good content and story with a point and a tip or something that it might lead into my Tuesday call. But some groups I can't promote my Tuesday call, and I can't put a link to my Tuesday call because that's just promoting basically what I'm doing. But what I can do is I can get in there and I can copy and paste my email because it's good content. It's a good story and it leads to a point. And I can leave it right there. I can use the same picture that I put out in my emails. So I'm reusing the stuff that I've already done, so it saves me time. And then what that allows me to do is I can get to post that in 2, 3, 4 groups, etc. And while there's no call to action, I can't market myself just by the nature of social media. And this is beyond Facebook, it's other places as well. People will Facebook stalk you and they'll hover over your name. If they like what you're doing and they like what they read, they'll be like, who is this guy or who is this girl? And next thing you know, inevitably, I know that works because I'm finding people that are migrating over to, go to my website, getting my free offer. Now they're on my email list or going to my private Facebook group, requesting to join. Like I said, I always ask people, how did you find me? What was your motivation for joining? So forth and so on. And they tell me like, oh, I was from this group, or I saw the post that you did here, I saw the video that you did here. So I know that my time and my efforts doing those things are worth it because people are coming over and they're getting in my circle. Doesn't mean that they've hired me necessarily yet, but I know that once they're in my circle, they get my information, so forth and so on, they're going to, when the timing is right, I would be a consideration for them. And that's the whole objective, to building our audience. So I'm spending a little time on this, and even as we're getting close to the end of this call, this is the primary piece of what we're doing. So I'm looking at this going, hey, I'm spending some time getting in these groups. There is one or two groups where I can actually promote my call and just put a link to that because I've talked to either I know who's moderating it, so forth and so on, and it's fine. And so I'll take the email that I crafted. I don't just promote the call. I'll use the email content that I sent out to my email group, email database, and I'll use that email and I'll paste that into those groups. So now I'm able to reuse content for the purpose of marketing and getting out in front of people. So that's what my Monday looks like. So outside of clients, that's what I've got to do. Those are my only obligations. And when I talk about that is that it's, setting call topic, marketing it through the avenues that I just mentioned. That's got to be done on Monday. I cannot leave my office till those things are done. If there's extra time, and usually I will say that process right there of the events, the email and things like that usually will take me a good hour or so, give or take a little bit to do. And I've got the system down pretty good. And outside of that, and this is dependent on how many clients I have during a particular day, my other activities are following up on emails and Facebook Messenger. And those are two vital things. When I say following up is the majority, and I will say this if I can do this as a percentage, and this will carry on through the rest of the week, is outside of my client calls, the majority of my time, and I would say like 70% of my time in my office is connecting with people that have reacted or responded to something that I've put out there, whether it be an email, whether it be a post, a video, a blog, anything that I've put out there. Even if someone joins my Facebook group, like I message them and say, hey, so happy to have you. What was your motivation for joining? How'd you hear about me? Those are people responding to something that I've done. I'm connecting with people, trying to get to know people. I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm not trying to, anything like that is what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to connect with them. I'm looking to create a relationship with them. I'm looking to find out where are they at in their coaching business? What are they doing? And I'm looking, how can I help them? If it leads to something paid, absolutely. Of course, I'd love that. But I need to find out where they're at first, what their needs are, what are the timing for those needs. If something all works out, then I'll make an approach, absolutely, and say, hey, based on what I'm hearing you go through, would you consider working with me? Would you consider this? But in a lot of cases, it's just I want people to get into my group. I want people to get the stuff that I'm offering, the calls, the recordings, get into my university. I'll make specific recommendations for people. And I'll say, hey, you know what? I know you said you're working through X, Y, and Z. I actually did a call not too long ago on this topic, and I'll paste the link to it. I'll say, hey, listen, if you want to consider listening to it, I'm certain it will help you out. I just wanted to help you. And they're like, oh, thanks so much. And then I follow up with those people. Like this is what I'm doing during the day. So when I'm not having clients, this is literally what consumes my time. So that's what happens on a Monday. On a Tuesday, like I said, I usually try and have a client at 11 a.m. I've got the Tuesday call, which is what we're doing right now. After this, if I don't have any clients, whether it's one or two, if I've got any open space, basically what I'm doing is I'm getting into my Facebook group. I'm posting, hey, we had a great call today. I tag as many people as possible that attended the call. And that's why when people call in, if I don't, on caller ID, doesn't have their name, like one woman I asked, hey, what's your last name? I want to see, is this person on Facebook? Are they in my group or not? I want to try and tag them and thank them for the call. I want them to, talk about, hey, what did you receive from the call? What benefit? I want to create action and I want to create responses and I want people, talking, and then I want to interact with them further to get to know them better. This is how I can start to create business. It doesn't mean everyone's going to hire me or work with me, but I want to find out where these people are at and how I can help them. Whether it's free or paid, that's my mission. That should be your mission as well. And then what happens is on a Wednesday or a Thursday, my objective there is to really, again, continuing my daily actions outside of clients, same thing, is I'm on Facebook. I'm not on Facebook on a personal level. I'm on Facebook on a business level, meaning I'm interacting. My goal is to create either Thursday or Friday, depending on how much I've got going on with outside clients and tasks, is to create a video, is to create another email, a well-crafted email maybe it's about a video that I did, or maybe it's referencing something I did in a video in the past, or just new content, sharing a tip, sharing some thoughts. And then I will share that with my email. I'll send an email out to everybody. I'll post it in my group. I'll post it on my page. I'll get into as many of the other groups that I'm in and start to post that as well. And I'll start to follow up with people. Again, I go to Facebook Messenger, and the people that are responding, I'm going to reply and respond back to those people. I just try and keep up with it the best I can. Sometimes what you want more leads. If I'm talking in technical terms, I call them people, but other people might say it's a lead, right? But I'll say it in these terms: you want more leads than time, or you want more people than time. Meaning sometimes it's like, oh geez, I feel so far behind because I get all these people that are responding to me. That's a good thing. People in general are pretty patient. They're not thinking like, oh, what, this person reached out to me to say hello and it's been 5 days or whatever, since they've responded back. You do your best. Sometimes it's been a week and I'm like, geez, I'm sorry. You've got a lot going on, and that's what you want. You want to create something where you have a lot going on, a lot of responding to people. But I teach this. This is the stuff that we need to be doing on a daily basis, is interacting with these people and finding out where they're at in their world, what they're going for, how you can assist them without having to sell them anything. That's a natural lead-in if they have a big need and the timing's right for that piece. But I'm really taking the time. If you can see, this is, like I said, 70% of my work is doing this. Is that interaction piece, and that's a vital piece. So as I kind of wrap this up, my actions are pretty straightforward. When we get to Friday, for me, the only mandatory action that has to be done on that Friday is I've got to get my Tuesday call ready and edited, and then up on YouTube, and then up on my website. And then I've got to send that email out to everybody, and then get in my group and my Facebook page and let everyone know that the Tuesday call recording is available. That also gives me another opportunity to email everybody. I take the time to craft, the best I can, a thoughtful email that's live, that's real, that has, an objective. That I want to write emails that people want to read, that people are interested to read when they get my emails, to keep people engaged as opposed to just another email that they delete. But that structure around my Tuesday call affords me the ability to, at least on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday at a minimum, to email my database, get in my group, get on my page, and start to create some interaction. It creates marketing opportunities. And then on that Wednesday, Thursday, I can either create some content that came from the call, thoughts from the call, snippets from it, etc. And I can use that information to start to create some education or content that goes out. And again, those are all marketing opportunities to get out there in front of my audience, expose them to me. A lot of it is facial recognition. A lot of what we're doing online, is having a clear message of who we're helping with what specifically. But once we've identified that audience, is starting to be in front of them. And a lot of people aren't going to be consuming your content. They're not going to be watching your videos. They're not going to be reading what you're posting, whether it's short or whether it's long. There might be a handful that the title catches them, or something about it compels them to read it. But a lot of what we've got to do is that facial recognition, meaning they see your face, they see your name. And after a while, that's when, if they see you over and over again, even if they haven't read or taken any action with what you're putting out there yet, you're going to start to become familiar. They're going to start to know you a little bit better. And then obviously when that thing that does come across, that does catch their eye, whether it's a title or an image or whatever it is, that's when they start to listen, they watch, and that's when they might come over and become a part of your database, so to speak, your community. And that's the objective there. But hopefully you get a better idea of what's going on. And this is just with a virtual model. And I talked about that virtual model. But even if you're doing a face-to-face model, meaning you're doing more live speaking engagements, a lot of your day-to-day work is still, you might be getting on that social media, on that platform, to be connecting with companies or groups, and then connecting from there to see if you can set up events with them. But either way, the majority of our business, the majority of our marketing, that 70%, if I can say, is going to be that the part where we're interacting with those people. I'd say there's about 15% of that time or so is like clients, and that other 15% of that time that's just like task stuff. That's like getting the Tuesday call ready. It's posting it on YouTube. It's, you know what I mean? It's some technical paperwork pieces, it's invoicing clients, it's things like that are just they're just paperwork type things, scheduling things, following up with people for scheduling or stuff like that. And that's another like 15% of your time. But the biggest piece is being able to get out there and interact with people, and I can't stress that enough. And part of what I teach there is that's where, with my mentoring or my group mentoring program, it's like it's getting into understanding how we can start to create those conversations that can lead us towards business.